at something, at least fall in the direction that you want to
Ah, I
go.
like that. Yeah,
So
you're closer than you ever were
yeah,
before.
yeah, just by
Yeah.
falling forward, even if you can't
Yes.
step forward,
Yes.
just lean forward, lean into it, and I'm, again, you talked about the vulnerability thing, and I know Nola has been very transparent as well. I mean, there are times this month that it was literally difficult for me to put one foot on the ground next to the other one, to get up, to actually I actually had to say, the only thing I'm going to do right now is put my left foot down out of the bed.
Wow.
When you
Wow.
want to talk about when you walk into your building, and there's construction going on, there's scaffolding everywhere, there's water damage all through your stuff. There, you don't want to go into that. You don't want to face that. You don't want to be dealing with that. It's just very, very difficult to deal with that kind of stuff. And then, constantly having to reschedule, constantly having to make changes, constantly having to say yet another time there's another setback. And emotionally, I think it would be extremely difficult. I like what you said, before, that you continue to set the goals, you continue to press, you continue to be persistent, you continue to try to face it. But there are times, you even talked about that emotion of just feeling worn out and lazy, that you just can't, sometimes you
Yeah.
have to let some of the past work you've done give you an opportunity to take a breather. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's he was carrying, the foot in the sand. I think that's what it was. I was
Yeah, he
like,
was
God, you
carrying us
carried
through
me
that
this.
one.
You carried me to success. I don't know how this even happened, Lord, because I sure didn't want to get up.
Right. And I'm going to be honest, because I'm normally type A. I can tell you I'm type A, and I'm driven. But I got to tell you, you get 3, 4, 5, 6 back-to-back setbacks, and man, it's hard to get up out the bed.
Type Z.
It's not. It's rough, and I know there are some guys who are running this race and doing big time things and doing it fast and yanking down big stuff. But there are days when I'm just grateful, and I'm gonna just be real here. I'm grateful to be able to stand the heck up, to get up out of the bed, to not just pull the sheets over my head and say, you know what, I'm done for the day. I know it's already bad. I just don't want to face it. I'm gonna let this day go by, rest through it, and go to the next day. It's
Hmm.
just, there are times you feel that way. Nola, how do you continue to press on when you're facing these middle management issues? How do you press on when you're having these challenges? How do you do it?
You know, that was the best question you could have ever asked me for this topic. Let
Nah.
me tell you how I press forward. I've been in situations where I've given up. And in me giving up, God opened up a door.
Mm,
And
mm,
I felt bad. I felt like I let him down. I felt disappointed. I felt ugly, disgraceful. Like, why am I deserving of this? Only thing I
mm.
had to do was just go that next day, and I could have got this blessing that I've been pushing forward, but I gave up on you, Lord, and you still opened up the door and blessed me.
Wow.
And the reason why I continue to move forward, even if I never get it, is because I don't want to feel bad, because I gave up. I can do everything for Satan. I can do everything that's wrong up under the sun. But when I give up on him, when I set a goal and he said it's obtainable, only thing I have to do is persevere. And I said, you know what? I don't feel like persevering, but I'm going to go out here and I'm going to sleep with this girl, because it's easier to do that than to just continue to move forward with you, because you're not opening the door for me.
Mm,
And
mm,
then he,
mm.
and
Wait,
he
now you're
blessed me.
swinging real close to home. Now I'm gonna just.
Hmm. Hey. Hey.
Oh,
Eh,
I wanted to be testimonies.
oh,
I
man! Wait,
wanted to
hold
tell
up, hold up. We can't, we can't
yes.
pass that one up now.
He
Let me,
talking to
let
you
me,
direct. God talking to you directly.
right? Yeah, God talking to all of us. Well, I can speak
Yeah.
personally. He was just
Oh
talking to
yeah.
me like real straight up correct. I mean, oh
I,
no.
I, I use that scenario because it doesn't have to be a girl. It can be just something out of character that you don't do. You know, it can be just, you know what, man, I'm gonna come by your house tonight and I'm gonna smoke that weed. I'm gonna come by your house tonight, shorty, and I'm gonna do that with you all. I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna rob this store with you because things ain't going the way I look for them to go. And in that moment, the next day, the door open. You get that phone call. You get that knock on the door. Say, hey, man, the deal that we was waiting on, it finally came through. Dude want to sign us for this record deal. Dude want to open up the door and dude want to build, you know, that angel that's going to bless us. Guy want to be the silent partner. But you couldn't do that one day. And, you know, it is hard. I'm not going to tell you that it's not easy. It's not easy. It is hard because when you walk with God, God has shown me that I want to see how much you want it. What are you willing to go through to get your blessing? What are you willing to go through to let me know that how about that car that you really been looking and walking on a lot for 15 years looking at? Do you really want that car? Put some things in place. Show me that you want it. I'm going to help you get it, but I got things that I need to put in place. And because I'm putting things in place, see, let me tell you a true story. I wanted to write a book. I wrote my book. I went to 4 editors. And out of those 4 editors, all of them did me wrong. And I paid them handsomely. But there was a young lady in Pennsylvania, Indiana, a young lady in Indiana who God was working on. And there was a young man down in New Orleans who God was working on. And by some strange reason, they both met up in Huntsville, Alabama. Out of those 4 people that the young man from New Orleans went through to get his book edited, there's one young lady that he met that God has been working on said, you know what? I will edit your book for free. I said, no, I can't allow you to edit it for free. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it for free. Just let me look at it. And she looked at it and she edited my book. And when I got it back, I said, you know what? This is what I want. She said, well, let me make the cover for you. So I sent her some pictures. She's made this cover for me. The cover, me and my son went up there. We looked at it. My son said, Daddy, I like this cover. This is how. I said, okay, son. Then you heard what he said. That's what he wants. We got the book published. She helped me publish the book. She even helped me start a publishing company. She even went as far as to say, you know what? I would actually work for you with the publishing company. I said, no problem. But God had to bring somebody from another state that he was working on. See, the reason why most of us miss our blessings is because we want to do things our way. I spent a lot of money doing it my way. And God said, if you would have just waited, I was working on someone to send to you.
Wow.
But I had to let you do it your way. And it was costly. And even though it cost you that much money, my daughter, who I was working on in Indiana, said that she would do it for free. If you would have waited, you would have had it done for free. So there's times in our life that we go through things that we have a vision for. We set time frames. We set our deadlines for ourselves, but we never ask God, what is your deadline? What is your time frame? When do you want me to move on this? He will tell you because he's going to put things in place. I had a good friend of mine that said, you know what? I want this vehicle right here. I'm going to pray. She prayed to God. God, this is what I want you to do. When I go to buy this vehicle, I want you to put the right salesperson in place to make the right deal, to make every transaction smooth. When she went out there, she said, this is the color I want. The man said, okay, let me see if we can find it. He went, he found it. It was another state. He said, I can have it here by tomorrow. She said, okay. When she went down to sign the papers, the man said, no problem. We're going to make this transition as smooth as possible. Why? Because she prayed about it. And God said, because you came to me, I'm going to honor your prayer request. And I'm going to work on a person that you're going to go and see. And he's going to make this transition that you asked me about flawless. We only have to ask. And in us asking, that's when God do. But sometimes you have to go through some stuff because he really need to know, are you deserving of it? And some of deserving of it that we want.
I think your point is well taken. I mean, it's funny, what you have just discussed is a combination of both persistence and faith. And that has to be applied during a test. And, you talk about God testing character, you talk about God making it clear both to you and perhaps to those who are around you that you, or, even to himself, that you are deserving of this answer to prayer, that you are persistent in this answer to prayer, that you're concerned about getting this answer to prayer. And yet again, I'm going to use a small, short analogy. I had to make a choice, and I asked God to provide me with a clear sign that he was going to do something for me. And what was so imperative was that I was at the end of my emotional rope with this thing. I was just at the end of it. I said, I've been praying over this thing, and I've been praying for this thing, and I've been, hoping, praying, trying to find any human way possible within within my hands power to do. You talked about do all we can do, persistent. And it still didn't come through the way, I had hoped. But I remember 3 days before God answered my prayer. 3 days. 3 days. It was 3 days. I said, you know what? I have prayed this thing, and if God isn't hearing me, I've given this, I've really laid this thing out for about 4 years, and God just is not answering that prayer. I said, I'm going to stop praying about that. That was on Wednesday. And on Saturday, while I was still on my knees, struggling with giving that thing up, I even said I was going to pray one more time. And I got a call in the middle of my prayer that what I was praying for had actually come to town. And, when
is
you
that
talk
right?
about, yeah. When I said, I want to do it your way, Lord. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to believe that you are going to work this thing out to your name's honor and glory. And I got down on my knees. And while I was yet praying, I got a call that said, you need to get your clothes on because your answer to prayer is right in front of me right now. All 3 of your answers to prayer are standing right in front of me. Just walk past me. Now, I need you to understand why that's such a big deal. The reason why that was such a big deal is because that was an elephant kind of a prayer. That was a big elephant kind of prayer. The kind of prayer that you pray that literally is like moving an elephant or moving a mountain, because it would be virtually impossible for that to happen. And the fact that it was a divine appointment, that it occurred when someone who wasn't supposed to be in the place that they went in for someone who was sick, and right when they went to work, they happened to see my answers to prayer walk right by them. And they were positioned in the place right where that person had to go substitute for someone else. So the Lord actually moved someone out of the way, put somebody who was going to call me in place for that moment in that time to answer my prayer. Now, I know that was a miraculous answer to prayer, because there was no other possible way that all of those events could have colluded together to come out with that outcome while I was yet on my knees praying. Had been praying for 4 years, but I got the answer, and I almost gave up. But here's the thing. Right after that, got some bad news, and after that miraculous prayer, after that miraculous answer, literally God reached across the United States and answered my prayer, brought them to my door. you know, just that miraculous answer to prayer. Even I